This podcast contains strong language and adult themes.
Date Night China explores life and love for better relationships in China. Every week, we hear from different guests and dive into dating, relationships, mental health, and how both expats and Chinese people connect with each other here in China.
Join the Date Night community through our podcast and events in Beijing and Shanghai, and catch up on all the latest stories on our official WeChat account.
Find our account on WeChat by searching Date Night China, no spaces, no capital letters. You can also join our WeChat group by adding Rachel, me, on WeChat. You can search Rachel Weiss 22, RACHEL WEISS 22.
And now for this week's episode.
Welcome back, everybody, to our last episode of season 3.
Wow, the last episode. How exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Are you relieved?
I mean, a little bit, yes and no. I honestly can't believe that we've kept this going. This is our longest season ever that we've had.
Just in general. I just can't believe we just kept Date Night China going.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
It is the longest season ever. I'm not so much relieved, but like more, I genuinely feel accomplished. You know what I mean? I'm happy that it's
good.
I'm happy that it's come to an end, but not because it's ending, you know, because it's just a milestone. It's just the next milestone.
Yeah, I think that the goal going into this year, I brought this to you. I was like, I want to continue this as a more weekly thing. We've done like a 20 episode season and a 10 episode season, or 12, whatever season 2 was.
Season 2 was 12.
And I was like, I just want to give this a go to like continue this for longer. And it does require more continuous effort. We've got to line people up week to week. There's a lot more on the back end and a lot for you, editing, preparing, all of that. But I think we did a great job continuing that and keeping going for so long. And for a few reasons we'll explain later, we are going to take a break for season 4. But I am proud of us. Yeah.
Good.
You know, I just had a flashback though of sitting in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Season 1. That was in 2019. December 2019, I think we started the first one, season episode 1. And we were just getting drunk with Eleanor, our co-host, if you're a listener from way back then.
Yeah, if you're an OG fan.
Yeah, I don't know. It was before we were dating. It was before COVID. The world was a different place. And it's kind of crazy to think how far we've come in 3 years.
I know. And this week, so we're recording this early mid-December-ish. I'm not quite sure when this will air, but things have rapidly changed in Beijing now, so much so that it's just bizarre. One, how quickly the virus is spreading to people that are nearest and dearest to us, so that it's quite scary.
Yeah, I think it's the weird thing over the first 2 years. We didn't really know anybody in China who was getting it. Like just none of our close friends, our circle of people, nobody was getting it. And now all of our friends, people we know in Beijing, it's just spreading a lot more. The good news is I don't think it's as severe. People are having
not this strain. But it's, I mean, I guess
weeks,
this is what you get. You kind of complain about, oh, it's locked down, it's restricting us lives and all these things. And then it's like, okay, well, we'll just open up. And it's like, wait a minute. Everybody's getting sick. I'm not sure if this is the way to go.
I don't know. I do think this was what it was going to come to. Or I'm glad actually it came to this and not a severe restriction the other way from what happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is the response, though.
I am glad this is a response,
and not
too.
the other way that it could have been.
Yeah, it's the best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
I hope
there are
it
better
means
cases scenario. But
I hope it means things are going to open
good.
up more for China. Like,
yeah,
this is what we've all kind of been waiting for. But it is going to be interesting for the next few months to see how things do go with this response.
But we'll be doing it out of the country because I'm going back to Blighty to see the family.
Yeah, so this is a big news. You're going back to the UK.
Yeah, I'm so excited, and you know, and this is why I just want to.
When this airs, you're going to be in the UK.
Pardon?
When this airs, you're going to be in the UK.
Oh my word! I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
And I just want to stick around the flat until I leave because everybody I know is getting COVID, and I just don't want to get sick before I go. Not because I'm worried about getting it. It's just I don't want to start my trip with an illness.
No,
You know?
I'm scared about getting it right when I go home, because I'm going to go home too, which I'm very excited. I'm going to leave about a week after you. And I'm worried because everybody we've known who'd gone back to visit family or leaving China, they get it right away.
Yeah.
I'm worried to start my trip home with it. So I'm almost like, should I just try to get it now before to get it out of the way? But who knows? You don't know what's going to happen. So
Just go up to somebody that you know and trust and just lick the face.
that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
I should lick their
You
face.
heard it
They
here
would need to lick
first.
my face, though.
You could,
I
like,
guess that's true. Yeah.
just one lick each.
All right. That's good.
Yeah.
So
I'm
while
secure
we're
enough.
while we're trying not to get COVID right now before we both go home, so this episode we actually asked you guys to send us in questions about the podcast, about us, about life in China, and we have some of those things to share today with you guys. It's gonna be some fun trips down memory lane, but also just talking more about how Date Night China has impacted us and some, just a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it's nice that people have actually asked us questions, or they care enough to to help us reflect on it as well. So it's a nice way to end the season before we go into season 4 in 2023. So shall we just get into the first question?
So question number 1. What is your favorite part of doing Date Night China, and what is your least favorite part of doing Date Night China?
I guess I know what my least favorite part is. I know that straight away.
What?
Well, this year we've done a lot more video, and because we wanted it to reflect our community and audience, the subtitles are bilingual, so we have English and Chinese subtitles, and the editing process is loads of fun. The filming, all of it, putting it together, and then adding the music or the sound effects or graphics to bring out the stories, or like really accentuate some of those comedic elements of what people talk about. But the fine tuning of the videos, the subtitles have just been draining, to the point where it's put me off about finishing a few videos, just because it just takes it's just a long process to do on your own, and I've not enjoyed that this year, the subtitles, even though I'm very happy with the videos.
Yeah, the videos are great. Yeah, the subtitles are difficult, so thank you for doing that. But I know that's the biggest thing with, like, I have YouTuber friends and everybody else. That's the biggest part everybody complains about. It's not fun, it's tedious, and then getting the translations, it's a lot.
And editing Zoom videos, because it's a lot easier when people come in to record live and we're together. It's very minimal editing, because we just want it to flow, and we want it just to bear it all, like what's and all, and just say, well, this is a conversation. But the Zoom one is just through technical difficulties and top and tailing it to make sure it's coherent, and sometimes you have to let people talk a little bit more, because you don't know. They're not in the room, so you can't read body language and everything. So editing Zoom interviews,
Conversations are hard.
It's just
too.
harder. It's not anything to do with the person or what they're talking about. Just technically, it just takes a lot. And I think we went through a period like May, June, where we were doing a lot of Zoom ones, and that was kind of just getting to me a little bit. I was like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this, because it's just annoying. It's tedious. Yeah. So those are two things I hate.
Wow. We're going to listen to Nathan hate about things the whole episode. No, that's fair, though. That's tough. I think anybody understands that through the pandemic and challenges. Doing Zoom anything is really hard and tough. It's just not the same as in person at all, and editing wise. Yeah. So what's your favorite part?
I think my favorite parts have been connecting with the community this year through the videos, but like, because we've done it weekly and inviting people round. Oh, and this season, sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, sorry. This season, we've shifted locations. It's not very dramatic. We've shifted. Season 1 and 2 was in the kitchen. Season 3 is in the lounge. And
Mm.
that's really helped the flow of the conversation because we've got this nice
It's just
L-shaped
cozy
couch.
and it feels so conversational and
Yeah,
comfortable.
and more friendly. And I
Yeah.
think some of the success is to get people relaxed and for us to really click and get on with people is that we've been sat here, nice cozy lighting and the mics around and within 10 minutes, even guests that are nervous forget that the mics are there and they're just talking to us about some very intimate and sensitive things or serious things or funny
Or
things.
all kinds of
Yeah,
things.
all kinds of things. Um, uh, and I've enjoyed doing that because it's like having an extended social life, through the
Mm.
podcast, which has
Mhm.
been great. So that's what I've enjoyed this season.
Mhm. I agree. I think my favorite would, yeah, have to be that as well. I mean, it's cliche to say, but the people are always the best part, and that's why we like doing this so much is we get to connect and hang out with people from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, and it is adding like to our social life. We get to have like really interesting and fun intimate conversations with people. A lot of times when you're going out with people or big parties, like we do lots of big events even with Date Night China, and that's very large scale socialization, but you don't get to have super in-depth chats sometimes, especially for us as organizers. When we're at our events, we're more worried about logistics and this and this and this, making sure everybody else is having a great time. So the podcast is kind of our time to sit down with people and get to know them and have a real interesting intimate chat, and it just stretches for hours, and I've really enjoyed that. Like that's recharging in a different kind of way.
Yeah,
um
that's another thing entirely. The events. Like, have we got a question about events? Because I could.
yeah, we can bring that up at some
Okay,
point. Yeah.
let's. Okay, well, because I've got a lot to say about the events. You know.
Yeah. I think the other part, so my least favorite part of Date Night China sometimes, I don't know if it's my least favorite, but it was kind of a role I had to learn more about and step into more. And that is being a WeChat admin. And that can be a more intense and full-time job than you actually expect it to be because we run several WeChat groups, and it's just monitoring, making sure people are following the rules, making sure people are abiding by the things, not being too forward. And some people have misunderstood what Date Night China is. They join, they think it's a singles only group, so we've had to make it very very clear with everything and sending the rules to new people before they join that it's talking about dating and relationships. It's not a singles group. We had some guys in the beginning who would just add all the girls, which happens in a lot of WeChat groups anyways, though, to be fair. I'm added from lots of groups all the time. But we had to make it very clear that that kind of behavior is not allowed in our community. Yeah, just WeChat admin stuff is just is a lot.
Yeah, and we have multiple groups, and the conversations. It's hard to track. When they could happen 24/7,
Yes.
and we're
You
not
wake up
there,
to
and
like
so.
200 messages sometimes and you're like, "Oh my god, I've got to go back to the beginning."
Or some people are just angry. It's like, why aren't the admin here right now?
And you get
Like,
the private messages. They're like, "Have you checked the group chat?" And sometimes it's very valid and warranted. Like somebody is
yeah.
being a raging bigot or something terrible has happened. Sometimes it's a very nuanced conversation that somebody didn't get the joke or the style of humor somebody else used. They got very offended. Like
I
it can
think it's
be
happened
anything.
less this year. I remember last
Yeah.
year
I think
there was a
because we
lot of
got very
offense.
strict about booting people right away, though. Like,
Yeah, we did have a period with,
yeah.
was it DNC2?
Yeah, I think we just tried to be
Yeah.
very no, and I think it was DNC 5, and yeah, there was a few a few different areas where I think we just had to be more rigid about. I used to like be like, "Oh, but maybe they didn't understand. Let's make this a teachable moment. Let's try to explain to people a bit more." But after a while, you can't do that with everybody. You don't have the time and energy, and you have to protect your own like mental space.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "No, I'm just going to remove this person from the group now."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And again, sometimes like it's difficult for people to like wrap their head around because they want you to be the judge, jury, and executioner, and they want you to like exact vengeance and shame that person for saying something stupid. And I don't take that standpoint really. If somebody says something ignorant and it is offensive, then it's working out whether it was born from ignorance, and
Mhm.
the remedy for that is to educate and say and talk to somebody and make them see why they can't say that, or that's inappropriate, or that's inappropriate for this group chat. I think it's something you need to unpack maybe with some friends outside of this group. And if and then if they don't agree to that and then want to carry on, then it's like, okay, now you're being arrogant
I think you're
and
right. A
stupid.
majority of the time, it is ignorance and just stupidness, or like, yeah, you should have shared this meme, this whatever, in your little small group of friends, not in a giant group of people, like 500 people from all different backgrounds and different walks of life, different languages, different humor.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's been an interesting thing. I think we've both had to like step into this role unexpectedly. Okay, shall we go to the next question?
Yes, okay, I'll read this one. What are what are some topics you would like to focus on more in the future? What have you wanted to do but haven't been able to because of challenges, time, etc.?
Wow, you had a difficult time reading today.
Yeah, I'm just forgetting language now.
It happens. You're gonna go back to England and just be like, bloop, bloop, bleep,
I'll be
bloop.
like, England, me happy, good, see friends, family now.
Happy every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually got a comment along with this, which is very interesting. So we'll read out to you guys. It said, I would like you to present more gay couples who are in a cross-cultural relationship. I noticed that most topics surrounding the LGBTQ community are rather odd, from narcissists to drag queens, while heterosexual stories usually surround romantic love stories. I'm pretty sure there are equally funky heterosexuals in this world, while at the same time, plenty of gay romantic love stories too. We want it. I have a few thoughts to this.
Yeah, it's quite a difficult one, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also, if you look back on our catalogue this year, we've done a lot of LGBTQ content, and guests have come on the show and shared all sorts of stories and experiences, and I think we're both proud of that, right?
I think we've tried really hard to make it even more diverse than we have in the past year. Of course, we are striving to do more and more and more.
Yeah.
But the thing we found is that no matter what we try to do, there's always going to be somebody saying, why don't you do more of this? Why don't you do more of this? And I think,
it's like, and this person is saying, it's like, oh, there's gay people on, but it's not the gay people I want to hear from.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay.
But I think it's correct. We have gotten this comment a few times. I think we do want to interview more. We do want to interview more gay couples. And I think that would be amazing. We got this comment from somebody else, like, let's show us some more diverse couples and some more of this and more of that. And we definitely take that on board, and we want to do that. But there's a few factors I was thinking of, like why it's sometimes challenging. First of all, it is people we reach out to and people we can respond back and are willing to share their stories. So we do have, our groups and social circles and friends and friends and friends that we try to connect to, people that we're looking to be on the show or to share their story. So we are first limited by a social circle and our media that we hope to reach out to more people to find more diverse stories and people.
And people reach out to us as well, but it's
but
not as if it's inundated every week with requests.
Yeah, but it also comes down to sometimes, who is willing to respond back to output and surveys we put out. And we do get a lot for certain topics, which makes it easier to focus more on certain topics when there's a lot of people we can talk to about it. So that's kind of the second thing in China. As we all know, it's a very sensitive place.
Exactly.
With certain topics. So
and people might not want to come forward because of that as well.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do then? It's
we have to really work against that sometimes, and we do with certain people asking for privacy. We've changed names. We try to, but that
change the voices.
People are still
sometimes.
Very concerned. They work and live here in China, and they don't want that to affect their livelihood here. So we have to be really concerned to make sure we honor that request for people and find people who are comfortable to talk for the show.
And I think we do find a way. I mean, if we don't have guests that are on the podcast, then there may be an article that might come out from somebody's point of view. And that's how we do it as well, so we do try. I mean, I don't really know what to do with that comment.
I think it's something we can definitely do. It's something that was brought to us before as well. Like, I appreciate this comment, but I think it's also good for people to know how we do try really hard. And if anybody has people in mind or friends or people that they would like to connect us with, that's what we're always really open to as well. There's only so much we can do within our resources and output as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Do.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, I thought you were going to read it.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I read the last one. What
Okay.
is your love story?
What is your love story? Can you sound
Yeah.
a little more excited?
What is your
Or you
love
sound like it's
story?
just mine.
Well, that's how I'm reading the question. What is our love story? Like, what from
Okay.
the point of view of the person asking, they've asked us, Rachel, what is our love story?
Okay. This is something I thought people knew and that we shared before on the pod, but I think actually maybe it's been a while or it's came in fragments.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I thought we mentioned it. If you don't know it, then you're not a true fan
No,
because
this actually came from one of our close friends. So
oh wow, well they're not a true friend because they should know. No, I know who asked it, and no,
thank you
it's
for asking.
thank you for asking. So we were friends, and we were doing the podcast for about 8 months or so. We've known each
We
other just
met
a little bit
at
longer.
Cavity La Post, and that
Oh, you're
was
going
a
that far back?
I
Okay,
think we should just brush
gotcha,
up, like, if
gotcha.
people don't even know
Uh
that.
huh.
Yeah, we were friends first. We had some mutual friends in common. We were both at Café de la Poste, which was this great French bar in Beijing.
Yeah.
It since has
She seemed
closed.
like a really cool girl at the time, and like I wanted to play it cool, so I didn't ask you for your WeChat
Yeah,
because
you
I
didn't.
kind of felt like that's probably something that you would get a lot. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna ask for a WeChat. I'm just gonna bump into her again some other time
And we did. We did.
at the coffee shop.
At the Costa Coffee right across from Lama Temple. I was
And
there working remote and you
yeah,
walked by and I was so alarmed. I was like, "Oh yeah, this guy." I was placing you. I was like, "Oh yeah, he was at Café de la Poste."
and you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I didn't ask for your WeChat. I was like, you
Again.
know what? Now's not the time. I just like, no, this is not the time either. And then the third time we went to a mutual friend's birthday party, and I arrived just after you, and there was a seat next to you, and I said, "Is this seat taken?" And you said, "No." And then we started chatting about our love lives and dating, and it was also the night we birthed Date Night China.
I was wondering what you were gonna say. Um,
We birthed a child.
yeah, it was at that teppanyaki place, and then our friend Vincent, the DJ Vincent, came over, and
Yeah.
he was telling about a love triangle he was in,
Yeah, and the
and
dilemma and everything. So then we got into agony aunt mode,
yeah,
and we just thought that classic drunk thing. You know, I was like, we should start a band. Or then we're like, we should start a podcast.
yeah, we need to be talking and
Why is
telling
nobody
these
talking about this?
stories
You know, like love
about dating in
relationships in
China.
China. Why is nobody doing this? We could be doing this. And then we were drunk, and I said to you, okay, I think this is like a drunk idea, but if you like it, text me tomorrow morning and say that you're in.
Yeah, it was at KTV. We were drinking. It was a KTV night. So I think we were both like, yeah, if you like the idea, let's see in the morning.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I was like, yeah, I think this is a good idea. And so I added you from that group. I added you and I was like, yeah, I think this is a good idea. I think we should
Yeah.
do it.
And then we and then that's in less than 2 weeks. I think you said, "Oh, you've got a friend that'd be great for this, Eleanor." And we sat in my kitchen here before you moved in, and we just started recording on the laptop, and we had a wild night just talking about stuff, and it was great.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
And then Dana in China was born.
It
and
was.
and yeah, we did that. So but we were together a lot and we were doing the podcast, we were doing planning, we would hang out, and it was also 2020 time. We thought the world was ending. We were starting to go out a lot, like to Patty's, and
Like you were on dates, I was on dates.
yeah, we were both doing a lot and just trying to be oh yeah, even before the pandemic, yeah, we were going on dates. And then
Because that's what we talk about every week. We're
Yeah.
like, so this week, what sort of shit show have you seen? Actually, it wasn't a bad experience. I mean, and that was the whole point of Date Night China to start with, is that dating can be a very positive experience because a lot of people struggle with it, or a lot of people say, oh, I went on one date and I'll never do it again.
Yeah, I think for me, it was just also a place to talk about it with people who were going through similar experiences. That's the biggest thing. What we talk
Yeah.
about with Date Night China. It's relatable stories. It's things that we all go through, and it makes you feel like, oh, all right, I'm not alone. We're all having interesting or weird or good experiences as well. I do remember one night when we had been doing Date Night China very briefly, and I had like a thing with somebody, and there was a situation that happened. It wasn't going very well, and I remember you had said, "Would you want to come over for dinner? I'll cook you dinner. Do you remember this night?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you cooked dinner and we were just sitting and talking about my situation. This was off the podcast. This was not like for anything, but just us hanging out. And you were so nice and just so thoughtful, and you were listening and just asking questions and looking out for me. And I remember leaving and just feeling like so thankful that I had met you and that we just had this kind of open friendship that we could tell each other things and talk about stuff. And
Yeah.
I just remember thinking from there, I was so happy I was doing Date Night China with you. And I think I could feel like our friendship becoming closer. Like, you weren't one of my close friends in Beijing at that time. I think it was a new and very sudden friendship with Date Night China. We're both in media. Let's go for it. And then I think we started becoming closer because of all that time hanging out.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that night. It was sweet.
Yeah. It was really nice.
Yeah. And that was like the sort of like the start of, that was the spark of something growing, but then you throw in the facts that, we do a podcast together with friends. And
well, that was later because you surprised me.
Yeah, so
Let's tell the story of that.
Okay, that night. So we were at, if anybody remembers, Aurora. I think it's still about, right?
It's about, but in 2020, it was just a hellhole. Nothing was open, so it was a place everybody would go to after Patty's closed.
It was always a bad choice.
So it's like 3 a.m. As a woman, my experience there was never good. It was just like you're trying to hang out with your friends or dance. Guys would very aggressively approach you, very creepy guys, and it just was never fun. It's good stories now, but back then it was like, ugh. But sometimes we would go there. There was nothing else open.
Yeah, and it felt like the end of the world. So we're like, fuck it, we may as well go. If the world's going to hell, we may as well go to a bar that represents that.
Go to hell with it.
Yeah. And it was about 2 a.m, and I just thought it'd be a brilliant idea to just pull you aside and just say that I was in love with you, which I got a very polite thank you from you.
No, I didn't say thank you. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
We had been drinking I think the evening. We were just all dancing with some friends or whatever. I think you and I were getting closer together, and you just had leaned over and said, I think I'm in love with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And also I was drinking and foggy-minded.
God, it's so cringe. It's so cringe.
I don't know. People always like this. They're like, wow, Nathan said that.
Yeah.
But in my mind,
it's very different. It's very different going through it. You know what I mean? Hearing it. It sounds romantic, but God.
Well, I think in that moment I was like, what? What are you talking about? We're both kind of drunk right now. Do you mean it? I just had so many questions right away. So then eventually I think we were both like, let's go sit out in the stairwell next to us and talk.
But then we talked it to death, and it was like...
It was so sudden.
Yeah, but the next day I just wanted it to go away, and we met at Wiggly's, so a place. This was a cafe bar where we did the podcast when we couldn't get into anybody's apartment, and I just wanted it to go away, and I wanted to crawl into the biggest hole. I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Let's just go back to what it was. Forget it. I was drunk. This is stupid. Because I didn't feel like an overwhelming anything from you. You know what I mean?
I was just confused because we'd been such good friends. We didn't really we weren't romantic vibes with each other.
Yeah, we weren't flirty.
We were just really good friends. And so I was just like, whoa. I was looking back, trying to be like, have I missed some signs? Or, what about the podcast? What about our friendship? I was really weighing all that in my mind.
I love you was a really big sign.
That was
and
it
really
wasn't
big
even, but you didn't start out something slow like, hey, I think I like you. I think it was just.
I don't do things by
0 to 100. I know. But it just took me a while to process that. And then I was like, I don't want things to be weird, but I'm scared to lose the podcast. And I'm just not sure I'm there yet to respond to that intense confession of love.
Yeah. But then we went through a few months of just uncertainty, but then building towards us kind of fooling around without us friends knowing, and
I think
we
I
thought
just
we were being
needed to have
super discreet.
Yeah, but I think
we weren't.
it got better because I think we were going back to friends, and we're like, fine, yeah, let's just continue the podcast, let's keep things going as normal. But then it kind of opened a door in my mind. I had time to think about it and be like, I've never really looked at it from that point of view. We were never that way before. Maybe. And it also changed it to a lower stake situation. It didn't feel like a, I love you. What do we do about this? Are we serious right away? What are we doing? It changed it to be like, we could like open the door for a little flirting and like lower stakes kind of, let's just, see how
Yeah.
this could go,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. So yeah, yeah.
And then at the end of May, I asked you on our first date. And it was perfect. And we sat down and talked about whether
Oh wait, you skipped my birthday though. Do you want to tell that?
oh yeah. Oh right, yeah. Oh, I guess so yeah, because so by then we were sort of like, we weren't fooling around then, were we? We were like, it was still like trying to be like just getting on with things or like being friends. And then you were really upset on your birthday.
It'd been a weird year, and all my friends had really left during COVID, like my social group, and
you were really, she was really upset, and you said, "Oh, like last year I was at the Dragon Festival."
No, I was in Nanjing
No,
on a work trip, but I was out for my birthday with some colleagues and Eleanor and friends, and
you were like, "Oh, and I kissed a guy."
It was really fun. Yeah, it was a fun night,
and it's a fun night. And then I was like, "Oh, you kissed a guy?" Well, I mean, like, what? And I was like, "Well, it's your birthday now, and like, I'm a guy. Like, you could just make out with me if it make you feel better." And you're like, and you're like, "Yeah, all right." And then we made out for the first time, and then we just made out all night. And then even though, and at that point, like we even had friends that we knew, or remote, like sort of like acquaintances that took photos of us and then sent it to other people that we knew, and they were like, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "No, it doesn't look like me. That one, no, that's not me and Rachel, no." Because I didn't want to blow it, because I didn't know what to do next. I'm like, "Oh my God, we're actually making out now."
Yeah.
And then we went through a period of trying to keep it on the down low, and we were not discreet.
We were not on the down low.
We were not discreet at all.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
We'd be out and we're like, nobody could see us.
And then we went to the burlesque thing.
Yeah.
The ill-fated After Dark opening night. And then that's when we came out, I guess.
Yeah, we were kissing a lot that night, all over the place, and during the show,
making a ruckus
in the back. Yeah, we were being so disrespectful and obnoxious about it, probably. But
then we started making out in like a back corridor, and then we like pushed on a door, and it was one of those secret doors that goes to a room, and then it opened, and then there was like a room of like Chinese people just like looking up at us, saying "Shema."
They were like, "What are you? What?
What are you doing?" And we're like, "Oh, sorry."
Like, ni hao. Close the door.
Yeah, don't mind us.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
And and then that happened, and then by then it was kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing for a while. Keep it casual.
It was still a bit weird though, because I was like, I don't know about this. We still haven't really talked about. I don't know how things are going. Maybe we should just end this. I don't want to be in this weird space where we're not sure. I don't know. But then, actually Eleanor, our co-host at the time, I think you and I were both talking to her a lot about it.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of just also shifted my mindset. I was like, no, I think we should just be all in on this though. Like if we do this, it can't be a little bit little. Like it's got to be kind of like we're both kind of ready to jump into this and see how it can go. And
then we went on a first date, and it was perfect.
Yeah. It was a great first date. It was at Jaja Bistro.
Yeah.
You planned that, and it was great. We sat and talked, and
you wore that beautiful black dress.
Yeah. Oh, we took first photos of each other on that date. I still have that photo.
Yeah, I've still got that photo.
And then we went next door to a whiskey bar.
Yeah.
We had
it was
that
more
guy.
Like cocktail.
Yeah. Or actually, they had some nice baijiu cocktails as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice.
I quite like the plum wine in the first place. So,
yeah.
that was nice.
Jaja Bistro.
Yeah, we should go back there actually soon.
Yeah, nice. We should.
And that's our, and then we started dating. And
then we were just kind of
and the rest
together.
is history.
Yeah. And that's our love story. So
thanks for asking that.
There you go.
Okay, question 4.
Okay, how do you manage a business and relationship? How do you balance what's DNC time and what's downtime just for you?
That's a good question.
I
I
think we
guess,
touched a little bit on this with Nico and Jack's episode. I think we shared a little bit, but
yeah, go back and listen to that one, Nico
yeah,
and
that one
Jack.
was
Yeah, because
good.
they're a creative couple that work together in media as well.
Yeah, but yeah, I think for us, yeah, what do you feel like? How do we balance the time?
I guess, kind of. It's not so much knowing when to talk about DNC because we can just both talk about it if we're uh, passionate about something or we've got something to discuss. It's more so it's knowing when not to talk about DNC. I think for that's what I've learned, and when things just be should be just focused on us. And sometimes we just need to focus on us when maybe things with DNC gets a little bit too stressful. And it's like, right, okay, we need to leave this, park this a little bit, and then we can come back to it, like give it another stab at like another conversation about DNC if the first one we weren't on the right page about it. Sometimes I have to catch up, I
Mm.
feel, because you might have already started thinking about things or whatever, and then I'm playing catch up, and then
Yeah, I think we have different workflow and ways that we actually function and work,
yeah,
and
which has been
we've
a
had to learn
learning
a
curve.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been hard because you are taking into account this is not our full-time job. This is not all we sit around and do all day. We have other priorities, we have life. So we have had to learn how to balance and learn our working styles and when's the optimum time to have a meeting about DNC, how to schedule, how to plan things. Like we basically are operating a mini business together. We are like coordinating media calls and interviews, pre-interviews and media
events.
proposals,
The events was
events.
hard.
It's a lot like scheduling and priority time wise. And I've learned you are very much about compartmentalizing your tasks and your
Yeah,
projects. You need to fully focus on the one thing at a time and you kind of block out everything else and say, I'm going to focus on this and this is my time for this. And then I'm going to move on to this next thing. And whereas like I'm a bit more like fluid and like, oh, I'm focusing on this now, but I know like later today I also need to be thinking or planning for this. How do we prepare for that? Like let me get ahead of my schedule and organize what I'm doing this way, and
hmm
everything kind of blends into together a little bit more. And I've learned like, so I've threw a lot at you at different times, and you weren't even doing DNC stuff. Maybe you were doing work stuff or life stuff. And I would just be shooting ideas at you or stuff because I was in that mental space for it, but you were not there. You were focused on another task. And you don't come in and out of it the way that I do. So I've had to learn a lot about working for that. And the same
yeah,
thing goes for our own like time together. Oh, like, yeah, let's put a hold on DNC stuff right now because I think we need to relax, we need downtime, we need to decompress and just eat dinner, watch a movie together or something like that.
mm, mm.
Yeah. So it's not always easy. I think it's still a learning experience, but I think we've figured that out a lot better now.
Yeah. I think we've definitely gotten better at it. I mean, 2021 was difficult because we were doing events so much as well,
Yeah.
and that was hard.
I think we
Um,
also learned, we have had so many great collaborators and friends who work with us, and Eleanor and Boita in season 2 and Michelle and all that is so helpful, but it also is so different. We are dating each other, we are working together, and then also trying to balance other working relationships altogether. Sometimes that can put a stress on our own relationship that we've
yeah.
had to figure out how to
But it's
handle.
so it's been less this season because it's just been us. We've streamlined it so that
Yeah.
it's and for us to have 100% control over
Mm.
it together.
Mm.
It's and yeah, it's been better. It's been better.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just been a lot of learning, right? Like we've learned a lot. We were starting to date and things were taking off with DNC at the same time. So it's like, oh, learning about our own relationship too and our working relationship and our own needs
Yeah.
outside the relationship. It was just a lot of conversations, things like that have had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The next question actually goes along with this. Do you ever have disagreements and what are they usually about?
Do we ever have? I mean, yeah. I mean, we have plenty of disagreements. We fight all the time. No. I guess when it comes to DNC, we've disagreed before about style and branding,
Yes.
which can drive me particularly potty. I can pull my hair out. Can you remember season 2? Was it season 2 or 3? Trying to get the look right for
Mhm.
the branding because we've changed the branding every season, but this season w- it took a few go arounds to get it just right. Um, and it's not so much, I don't feel like I settle easy, you know, it's not as if like I just design something or I get something back from a designer that we're working with. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But I feel like you want to explore more options, and that's been frustrating to me in the past sometimes when I think it's, you know, because ultimately you're only putting out one product, so people won't see options A, B, and D. If we put out, you know, design C, then it looks great. You know, it's fine.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm very, very passionate about the branding as well and the marketing and the importance of the imagery. And that's what we've talked about as well. Like, you're, of course, feeling very much a stress about those important things as well. I think we just feel it in different ways. And I think we went through it like, yes, a learning period to figure out what is our branding style and our style guide and what's our imagery
Yeah.
and what's going to speak to people and what's going to catch their attention, all those marketing questions. And I think we also went through, we love Michelle to death, but sometimes Michelle would also throw things at us that would
Oh
just throw in the
God, can you
equation.
remember?
Michelle, you know exactly what we're talking about too.
Yeah, can you remember that time we had a stupid argument on price, and I was just like incensed because it was such like a, like, we don't need, this is not gonna make or break the fucking event. It was like she was like, let's make it like 66 Kwai or
And
something.
we're like, wait, why 66? Because, like, yeah, you take into
She's,
account, there are a lot of things when you price an event, you price a thing, you have to like
and we need to
counter
make some
everything.
profit or something, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and we
Or
need
no,
to
you
pay
need to price
people.
that. What are we paying? What's a valuable price, cost value, things like that. And then she's like, oh, I just think it's a fun number.
It's just, and people look at events and they'll be like, oh, look, you know, that's a weird number. And I'm like, no, nobody's gonna be nobody on God's green earth has looked at an event and said, whoa, why did you sign up to that?
Unless there are people who are like Michelle.
The number was weird. I thought I better check this out. Like, what's going off? They've got funny pricing. Like, this has got to be wild. You know, and then, you know, and that particular event.
We're like judging, this event's going to be amazing. Why? Because
we had
price. Did you see the weird price?
We had a 2-hour argument about that.
I think it was also for me, I didn't care so much about the number, but there was an image that was going to be a very provocative, suggestive thing. And I already felt like, as Date Night China, we've had to battle against this idea that people get, because of course we're called Date Night China. People assume it's very much like about, ooh, only for singles. It's for hookups. It's a very raunchy.
It's more salacious and
I think the name already brings those things to mind, and I didn't want imagery associated with that would bring it, that would just sell that.
And this image did.
It did. Oh my God, it was a very suggestive image. Like,
it was like, no, we can't have this as the main marketing.
Even when we do singles events, I don't want anything that suggestive. You already know, people can already use their imagination.
People are not looking for that generally.
Yeah, and a lot of our events aren't for singles. We've already had to fight against that. Like, a lot of our images need to be a bit more, it can't be that raunchy. So I think from that experience, I was like a bit more steadfast moving forward that, you know, I want to be very, you know, aware of where our marketing's at, especially in our audiences, where we're hitting and the circles that we're in. So,
and Michelle's strengths were like managing and planning events and, like, you know, getting shit done.
Oh, she's amazing at all of
marketing,
that.
not so much, you know. And I guess that was a learning curve at that point, was like realizing that we may have different aesthetic tastes, where I might like something a little bit more like bold, or like, you know, bright colors, you know, Michelle, that sort of imagery, you know, or something like, you know, a bit tongue in cheek, maybe sometimes literally. And it's just learning. It's like, we've got all these different tastes, but it's not appropriate for a brand that we want to, a respected brand that we want to build. So that was a learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those have been some tough, of course. But I think we've,
navigated them well, you know. And now we don't have those conversations about marketing, because, once you do it once for one season, and I know going into season 4, it's going to be a long discussion about what we do with the marketing. But once we get that out of the way, then that's set for the entire season. Like all the
Yeah.
season marketing every episode is easy because it's just,
Yeah, yeah,
bang it
yeah.
into Photoshop
It's not
or
restarting something from
yeah, and
scratch every
same with the
time.
sound effects or like the intro music that you hear. We've already made those big decisions, so it's almost like
Mm.
a cookie cutter
It's like a formula. You just plug in
formula.
the new things and
Exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, that's a headache that we have at the beginning while we're planning, but after that, it's generally fine.
Yeah. I agree. Um, so how has Date Night China changed the way that you think about dating relationships? And how has running Date Night China together as a couple impacted your relationship?
Um, well, because of our guests, we get to see, life and lifestyles that we don't have, and views and approaches to relationships that we don't have also. So that's interesting because every conversation is a thought experiment, and you're asking questions because you're interested in how they deal with things. And So it's great to explore that in a safe environment in a way, and we ask questions about it, and then we reflect. Sorry, we reflect on what those guests say, and then we'll have a long discussion about it afterwards. And we still have discussions about guests.
Yeah, we
Because
do.
yeah,
We talk a lot. We're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about this thing again the other day. And oh yeah, how did that work for them? And
or if we see like a couple out in the street, or like or a couple that we know, we was like, oh, they should talk to the people that we had on episode
yeah, I
whatever.
think we've connected people that way though. Like we've been like, oh yeah, 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 that was a great guest if you want to learn more about this. Especially the polyamorous episodes. I think we learned a lot and we even had some like side hangouts and dinners and stuff with them. Hayden and Kat, they're just wonderful people. And I think for us, we're not in that kind of relationship. So it's interesting just to learn more about that. And then we had people reaching out like to learn more about polyamory and we were able to connect them with real people. And we've
Hmm.
had just lots of interesting conversations about that. But about these other, even intercultural couples or long distance couples. We're about to be long distance, not for real, but
Yeah.
like just
You
for
do
a
carry
few
it with you,
weeks.
and I think in
Yeah.
arguments, if we've had difficulties in our actual relationship, nothing to do with the podcast, even though it's hard not to conflate things sometimes. Um, I think I've learned from the different people that we've been speaking to, and you take that on board. I'm still going to respond how I want to respond, and learn from our arguments. And so, okay, so
Mm.
talking this way or me responding like this is not helpful, and you might need more from me, or I need to change, or I need to ask for more from you, and I need to ask you to act like, stop doing this because it's not inducive for like communication.
Mhm.
And every person that we meet and talk about, especially it's the relationships, the people that are single and talking about um, their stuff, I just feel more like an interviewer,
Mhm.
and it's good for the podcast. I don't learn anything. I learn about their
Well, I
lives, but
think there's
like,
some interesting things we have learned, like even Rachel George talking about
oh, that's different
values.
because she's a life coach,
Yeah, yeah, true,
That
true,
was a really good
true.
one,
But I,
actually.
I have liked, I mean, whether you're single or in a relationship, I think people bring up interesting points about protecting their own values or independence. But I
Mental
see
health, when we did the
mental
mental health
health.
one,
Yeah,
and having the guys over doing the male relationships and vulnerability.
yeah.
That was, yeah, okay. So yeah, it's not just the relationships I learned from, other episodes too.
Yeah.
Um, so and it makes you reflect, doesn't it? I think the
Mm,
values one, after that one, I really just, I don't know, it just reminded me that me and you have got really similar values, and like our
mm.
likes have changed even during the couple of years that we've been together.
Yeah, do you feel like they have?
Yeah, like as in like our like hobbies, or like what we're
Mm,
into or what we're focused on.
mhm.
That's changed for both of us, but our values, um like the person who you are still that person. You just grown,
Yeah.
and I hope that's the same for me.
Mm. Yeah. No, I agree with everything that you've just said.
Oh.
I think, we had Morag and Valdu on, and they were close friends of ours. And it was interesting. They met and got together a little bit before than we did during the pandemic time. And
Yeah.
it's been interesting. We've had other couple friends as well throughout this journey on the podcast and off the podcast. But with Morag and Valdu, especially, I've just really admired and seen how much they talked about money and financial goals. But also, Morag's biggest thing was just saying, like, we're on a team together. We're teammates. I'm in your corner. I support you. I've got you. And I always liked how she emphasized that. So, like, even if you're having a little bit of a conflict or you're not agreeing or you're a little bit upset with each other about something, getting tiffy, you're like, you hurt my feelings and I feel this way and this way. It's such a good reminder to be like, no, we're on each other's teams. Like this, we can have little conflicts, we might have little disagreements or miscommunications, but at the end of the day, like I'm your teammate and I'm in your corner and I've got you.
True that.
Yeah, true that. That's kind of the next question as well. I just started thinking about it, but was what couples do you look up to the most or want your life to look like?
Oh, I missed this question when we were looking at
Mm.
this before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do have a lot of respect for Voldu and Morag. Actually, I think that couple, um, it's just great. And I guess maybe I'm more biased because I know them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
closely. They're our closest friends, but I think the way they've gone about dealing with the problems that they've had in the relationship and the communication and working on that and the way that they've approached moving their lives forward and going through this really tumultuous time of leaving the home and finding a new one. I think I've just got the utmost respect for how they've gone about it, and it's been great to see them go through it. It's almost like watching, like it's like a blueprint. It's like, oh great, okay, I'm gonna, I'm taking lessons, I'm paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just there as a friend, I'm paying attention.
Yeah. It's more
um
real than say like all these like maybe celebrity couples or couple goals, like things that you see that you don't know their real life, you don't know behind the scenes. Whereas like with our friends, the people around us, you actually get to see
yeah,
how do they solve problems? What's the real stuff going on?
yeah,
And how do they make it work? And what do they do that's different than us? Maybe because that works for them, but maybe
yeah,
what works for us.
yeah.
Um,
I think Hayden and Kat as well, I admire their level of honesty
they're very honest and they
and just
communicate a
that, yeah,
lot.
and the communication and the way that they do it. I just admire that a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Are there any other couples that you look up to or admire or think about?
Gee, because I missed this question, I can't think. On the spot. I mean, the ones that do long distance. That's it's good. To factor in the challenges that they had, and I think we've talked about that a lot, like the what if like I go and then you go, or what if like one of us is locked out.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean that's always been useful, and now I guess I might have to listen back to those episodes and see if there's any nuggets of wisdom that I missed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it for me. Yeah, what about you? Any
Um,
more?
yeah, I mean, our friends that we've seen go through this journey, and especially being in a place now, I think it's, you know, yeah, being in this place after 2 or 3 years where we are in a more serious relationship and getting to watch other people go through this, I've learned a lot. Like I've learned so much about relationships and watching other people. And I've talked to you a lot about this, but there was a couple that I worked with before my current job, with Career China. Yeah,
Oh
shout out.
yeah. Oh, so these are just general couples. Okay. Well, I've
Yeah.
got one after this.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's what
Yeah.
it means. It could be any couple. But it was Josh and Liz. I don't know if they listen to this podcast. Josh, sometimes we keep up
What
with each
up,
other.
Josh and Liz?
But I don't know if I ever really got a chance to talk to them and tell them how much I really admired their relationship. Because they were like the ultimate working together, traveling together, doing all kinds of really interesting things together all around the world couple. They balanced each other really well. They had different strengths and weaknesses. One was a major marketing guru, like organized and so on it with strategy and all of this stuff. And then he was like very social and like understood trends and like getting into people and like understanding the people. So they were a great combination, and I just love to see how they work together.
And what was she?
She was the first one that I said,
Oh,
the strategy, the marketing guru, and he
oh,
was like with the people, and
oh, right.
but they
Yeah.
both were really great with it. Like that's why they complemented each other. They could work together. They could have on different strengths and different things. And I loved. I don't even know if I realized at the time how much I was soaking in working with them, how much just watching them interact.
I mean, the way that you talk about them, I admire them too. The way that
Yeah.
you talk about,
I talk to you about them a lot.
yeah, you
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I mean, like, and having that lifestyle, like moving forward,
Yeah,
like,
they used to just travel
that
around.
would be the
They would
dream.
pitch themselves to like hotels and different brands and just be like, "Yeah, here's how we can help your brand." And I just loved like how they pitched themselves and how they knew what they could offer to somebody and just that courageousness to go out and do stuff together. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just really liked seeing that. So that was a really kind of inspiring couple for me that I didn't even realize at the time fully because I was focused on my job and Beijing life and all of that. But yeah, they're in the States now and doing a different adventure.
Well, Merry Christmas, Josh
Yeah.
and Liz.
Merry Christmas, you guys.
And mine would be Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds
That is
because they just
couples.
seem fun.
They do seem fun.
Yeah,
They just have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
seem fun. Next
Yeah.
question.
Next question. Have you changed because of your partner? Have you changed them? How so?
I've changed for the better. Yes.
Next question.
Yep. What about you?
I mean, of course, I think in this question, of course you change with a person, I think, because you're growing into a life together or you're building a life together. You both have certain habits and customs, even the day-to-day life you're learning with somebody else. And I think that person is definitely going to have an impact on you. Have I changed because of Nathan? Yeah, definitely. I think I think we bring out a really silly side of each other that I don't know if you always get to see on the podcast, but most of our conversations, just the two of us, especially lately, it's like a lot of silly time, a lot of just like hanging out with each other, singing weird songs and making up weird language. I think you bring out a really silly side of me and a really funny side of me. You're so funny, and I think you have such great wit, great timing. You're very light up a room kind of person, and I think I've learned a lot about your British humor and it's kind of rubbed off on me.
Well, thanks, man.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you do. Like, I think if you committed to a relationship and you're serious about it, you do change, and change hopefully is a good thing, and it's natural, and it's it's couples that we've seen where change is either reluctant or not happening at all, and that's when you're in a danger zone territory because it's not going to work if you're not willing to change. But I think you've changed me. I think any sort of good partner, you always want to be the best version of you, but also accept the times where you may fall down or fail or you don't hit the target. I was thinking the other day actually is so recently I've lost a little bit of weight, only a little bit, but it's boosted my self-esteem and I'm really glad. And I realized at times when I was down, when I was at my heaviest, and like we may be getting intimate, and I'd have to stop, or I'm getting really serious now, or I might avoid to, because I felt like self-conscious about like how I looked, and I wasn't happy with it, and I didn't want anybody else to see me, not even you. And even though I've lost a little bit of weight, or I've looked, I've worked on my body image a little bit more recently and I'm happy with how that's going. I realized the other day that you still treat me the same, and that I mean that in a good way, as in like you like the way that you looked at me then is the same way that you look at me now.
Aw.
And I just thought, wow, that's made me feel bad because if anybody struggles with their image or like the weight, when they get in a good place, like as soon as you get good and stable for a little while, you'll start to have those nagging thoughts of, okay, when is it gonna change back, and when am I gonna fall off the wagon and sort of just balloon up again and whatever. And I thought about you in that moment, and it just made me feel better knowing that you accept me however I look. You know what I mean? Like you've never made me feel like that's important. It's me that makes it important, not you. And also, you highlight when we like argue or if we have difficult times. It highlights to me just how to be more compassionate or a better person because I might not be happy with the way that I've carried myself, or I can get grumpy, or I can get I can get short tempered at times, and it's just like a mirror reflecting. Sometimes in a relationship, the other person's like a mirror, and it can reflect, you know, the good things and the bad things. And I think
Hmm.
it's nice to look at the bad things also, just to keep you on track and trying to be like a good version of you. You don't always get it right, but you
Yeah.
know.
Aw. Yeah, no, I agree with all of that because I've had my own insecurities as well, and bringing that to you. And I think we're also very different people with our, you do go through low periods for yourself or, with life, and when you feel frustrated or angry or anxious, I think you learn a lot about each other and how you respond to certain situations. And I tend to be I'm a very sensitive, emotional person. And
Yeah.
I lean more, if I'm gonna get agitated or something, I lean very anxious. Whereas, like, I think for you, you don't get anxious. I think your natural response might be a little bit more like more frustrated or angry. Like, we have different kinds of emotions that might come out in a situation. And I
Mm-hmm.
think learning how we can respond to each other or help each other along, what's the best way to help somebody. Also, like, I read a great quote the other day that I think about all the time is like when somebody brings a problem or a frustration to you, and it's not like about you, it's just about something. Like, are they asking you to just listen, or are they actually asking for a solution?
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing as well. Sometimes you just need to vent to your partner if it's not about your own conflict, if
You
it's
you
just
let
about
me
something
vent a
else.
lot, and I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll ask you, it's like, "Oh my god, I must be boring you to tears," and I'll stop because I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm talking about this again," and you're always like, "No, no, no, it's fine. Keep going."
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm always happy to listen to you vent. And you let me like, cry or be emotional. Like the other week when our friends were leaving, when Morag and Valdi left, I was so emotional that week. It was a lot going off with life, with COVID, with lockdowns, our friends leaving. And like you were talking to me about something, and I was just sitting on the couch, like, I don't know. I was just couldn't listen. I don't know. I just got up and walked and crawled into bed. And then you were just like so sweet. Like, and I started crying. And I was like, I don't know why I'm crying. It was the second time I cried that day too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've never been like, why are you crying? You crawled into bed and you were like, can I hug you? And I was like, yeah, I need a hug. And that's, like, that's what I need sometimes. You just need to, like, I was like, I just need a good cry. I just need to let it out. And we're saying goodbye to our friends tonight and taking them to the airport. And I don't know. I'm getting emotional now thinking about it. But like, I appreciate your support
Yeah.
in just
I mean,
letting me let it out.
that's been a learning curve because like I've like generally in relationships, I'm the sensitive soul. You know what I mean? I'm a sensitive guy. You know what I mean? So to be with somebody that like outdoes you on the sensitivity,
Yeah.
that has been hard.
Yeah.
Not that I need to be the sensitive one. It's not that. It's
It's
just
a
that
different
I feel
shift.
like I've got a capacity for sensitivity. You have shown me that I can push that, and I've had to, so that's been something.
Mm, mm,
Um, yeah,
yeah. Um, yeah, I think we've learned a lot from each other.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. Yeah.
Hmm.
What's up next for DNC in 2023? What are your
Season
plans?
4, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, season 4.
So that's it. Okay. No, season 4. I mean, yeah, we're just gonna carry on.
Yeah. So I mean, first in the next few months, I guess what's up ahead is, yeah, Nathan's gonna go to the UK. I'm gonna be going to the States. It's been 3 years. We haven't gone home. We haven't seen
I
our family.
know.
So we're just ready for that, the way that a lot of people are. We're ready for a break mentally, physically from China, just some
Yeah.
space and distance.
Emotionally, I need some emotional distance from China.
It's not us, it's them actually. We
Yeah.
need space from China. I think especially 2022 has been more particularly hard, I think,
It's
for
been way
us.
harder
But we've
2022.
been so lucky and so grateful. We say this all the time. For the past few years, we've been healthy, we've had jobs, but there
Yeah.
still is an emotional weight and anxiousness and uncertainty that kind of weighs around you during this time and the recent lockdowns. And it's just going to be nice to go home, spend time with our families,
And
and
that's
have
it.
a break.
And just to have some familiarity and just to,
Really recharge
Well,
time.
yeah, recharge and just like connect to roots that make us who we are, that brought us here. I'm exceptionally grateful to China and to
Mhm.
my employer and
Mhm.
to the opportunities and the life that we live here, and the fact that we have been safe. Things are ramping up now because restrictions are easing, but we've been protected.
We've been very, very lucky. Yeah.
So I
Very
feel
grateful.
exceptionally fortunate, and but it doesn't change the fact that my family's in the West. A lot
Mm.
of people that I love are in the West, and
We haven't seen them in
and
a
I
long
need to go.
time.
And that's not what I signed up for. I need to see
Mm.
my family, and hopefully this is the first of many reunions now that things are easy. And I hope
Mm.
2023 is, I can go back now and I can go back again, and it can just be a more regular thing like it was pre-pandemic.
Mhm.
But season
Yeah.
4, when we get back to China, it's season 4.
Yeah. I think we have some goals. Like we mentioned earlier, there's some topics, there's always people that we're looking to reach out and to have more diversity. Like we really appreciated with season 3, we had time and space to reach out to lots of different people, expand our topics and talk about more things because we had more episodes that we could do. And I definitely want to do more of that. I don't I think for me it's not about specific topics, but I really enjoyed when we had certain experts and guests on, like, Rachel George, the therapist. We
Uh-huh.
also had Dr. Runza Ding on, um,
Xiaojie
who
from Candle
studied,
X.
like, yeah, porn and stuff. So I think it's been really cool to reach out to people who have some expertise on fields about relationships and communities in China. Of course, keeping our same feeling and vibe though with the people you encounter in everyday life, the pub chats you might have with close friends. So yeah, I think we're going to be doing some talking about that later though and strategizing more. But I think there's a lot more that we could talk about with season 4.
Yeah, and hopefully more events, because our events are, we've built a community over the past 3 years, and people, look forward to our. I mean, I say that, but people do look forward to our events, and we work hard
Yeah.
to do fun events where people can socialize and mingle. It's not just about, oh, if you're single, come to this event. Now we've more switched to helping people build friendships and find communities and common
Mm,
interests, and
mm,
and go do an activity, with the bowling event that we have done, or trivia, or scavenger hunts, or whatever it might be. It's an opportunity that people can make friends, and yeah, we have more specific things like singles nights or blind dating,
mm,
or we might have the secret cinema where you could bring a date, but it's a lot more wholesome than people think. If they don't know anything about dating out China, they think, oh, it must be an event where people are doing all manner of things, but it's really not. It's really been a wonderful um, way to build a community in China, and I'm really looking forward to getting that back
Me too. I
next year.
really hope with season 4 and even just our events, it was a hard year this year. We only had, I mean, I think we did probably a third of the events we had done in 2021 because it
Yeah.
was so difficult with the soft lockdowns. And we had launched an event in Shanghai. We were really looking forward to expanding that more. And it's been kind of a total shift because Michelle left. And our time and energy is also very valuable and limited as well. That the idea of expanding to new cities, we've had so many people ask about that, but we've had to be very realistic, especially this
Mhm.
year, about what we can actually capably do. But I'm hoping at least in Beijing we can revamp and get back to that place where we do more
Yeah,
of
we
these
did
events.
one blind date, a very successful
It
blind
was
date in
great.
Shanghai,
Yeah, but
and
then
then maybe
Shanghai went to
2 weeks later
lockdown.
it went into lockdown. It's like, right, okay, we're gonna put that on the back burner. But also, we should give a shout out, actually, because the events that we have done this year, we've had wonderful support from our volunteers, and it's been a lovely bunch of people, and we just want to say thank you
Mm,
to them for helping us out with the events, and it's been wonderful that they've wanted to give their time to what we do, because they believe in what we do as well.
yeah.
So thank you to them.
Yeah, shout out to our DNC volunteers. Thank you
Woo!
for reaching out and being willing to step up and help when we throw things at you and
Yeah.
ask you to
Actually,
join.
some DNC media volunteers, help with the video or something.
Mhm.
Oh, and Molly, actually, yes, to help. She's helped
Yeah, Molly's been
translate.
amazing.
Yeah, so a
Yeah.
guest that was on episode 2 of this season,
Yeah.
and she helps out with the videos, and it's been so good
Yeah.
to have that sort of help. So thank you, Molly. But maybe a few more people to help out. If you've got media experience, get in touch. Who
Mhm.
knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Who
Yeah.
knows? It's crazy.
It's
Wow.
crazy. Okay, last question. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone starting a podcast in China?
Don't. um, just do it. You just got to do it. Like the way that we started, when we met that night that we told you earlier in this episode, and then we said, right, we'll just come round and we'll just start talking. That's exactly how we started, and now we've gone on to 3 seasons, lots of events, really good relationships with bars and restaurants across the city.
Shared in the top 10% on Spotify.
Yep. And we've got, a huge community that is very dedicated and very lovely bunch of people that we've built because of Date Night China. And
But don't be
we've raised money as well because of it as well. We've
Yeah.
helped charities as well. And that wasn't our starting goal, right? We didn't mean to do any of that
Mm.
stuff. All we meant to do was meet for that Friday night and sit in a kitchen with a laptop recording, with a glass of wine, and just talk. And so if anybody wants to start, my advice is to just do it.
Yeah, I think also don't worry and expand your mind about like, oh my God, it seems like I need to do so much. How am I gonna launch things?
Yeah.
How do I do this? How do I do that? Take it a step at a time and just launch it first. There's
Yeah.
going to be time to figure things out, and you're gonna find your voice along the way too. Like it's not always gonna be perfect or exactly how you planned it to be. But we've had a few friends even recently who reached out about starting a podcast and just don't be afraid to take that first step. You're going to keep
Yeah.
thinking about it and keep thinking about it. And you're going to think about it to death. And I think the first step is actually just do it, launch it, figure it out. And you're going to be okay. You're going to navigate it along the way and it's going to be fun.
And keep remember, and even things like, the way that our posters used to look for every episode. Oh my word.
Yeah, we went through a
Completely different.
lot. Yeah, we went through a lot of iterations and getting better tech, and upgrading different kind of things and finding our brand and our voice and our style.
And all that stuff just came from watching tutorials. If you start doing a podcast,
Everything is on YouTube.
yeah, or there's a blog out there, or somebody's already done it. You don't need to have any of the knowledge. Actually, you can just start, and then you'll learn. You learn through necessity. It's like you don't know something, find that out, and then you build on that. And then a lot of the equipment, if you live in China, then special deal days like the 11 sales on Taobao or JD. Can help you invest in some stuff that can boost your production levels. We collaborate with other people as well, like graphic designers, photographers. That helps as well, but it's still a small team. And anything that we don't know now, if it comes up, we will learn. But that's my advice.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. Well, thank you ever so much for listening
Yeah.
to season 3, our longest season yet. I'm so proud of it. I hope you've enjoyed being with us on this journey, and I hope you come back for season 4.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, you guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And 新年快乐.
Yeah. It's
Happy
gonna be the
Chinese New
year.
Year.
It's gonna be the year of the rabbit when we come back. Did you know that?
Ooh, yes, I did. Yeah.
But anyways, guys, take care, and we'll see you guys next season.
Bye.